Well, thank you for joining me. This is Kati Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. If you are joining on Thursday, it's you and me. And today's part one of my sharing retiring from salon ownership. That is wild. I'm going to just share all the things. And if you're listening, I want you to know you can watch today's conversation on our YouTube channel. We have the link in our show notes for you to preview there. We have a whole new setup for the podcast that's just giving me a fresh sense of energy in life. So I'm excited to be with you today. So just to give you the backdrop, like many salon owners, I started out in the industry as a hairstylist, and I really wasn't motivated to be a salon owner. I didn't go to beauty school and say, oh, someday I want to be a salon owner. I really loved being a part of a team. When I first joined a salon, it was a hybrid model. And it was really kind of expected that after I put in the 2 years in the state of Wisconsin that was necessary before getting a manager's license, then to go and rent the chair within the space I was in. Well, now everything's changed in the state of Wisconsin, and you don't have to wait 2 years to get a manager's license in order to go down that path. You can immediately become a booth renter or an independent contractor. So that was how that originated. But I was never motivated for that necessarily. I just was like, I wanted to be a part of a group of people that I felt like I could belong with. And many new professionals, that's what they're looking for. They want to come in and feel like this place feels like I belong here. So I found that, and to this day, I have an amazing relationship with Tabitha, who owns Julia Grace Salon in the Madison, Wisconsin area. And she believed in me and gave me a chance. So I loved being a stylist. I was never this amazing technician. My work wasn't like, wow, this girl's going to be on stage someday teaching other people how to do this. I was never that good, but I was so good at the people and the sales side of the role, really just knowing how to communicate and genuinely building relationships with people. And I was so fired up about products all the time. If you came to my home and you saw the product selection that I have for both skincare, makeup, and hair care, you'd be like, wow, I think you have a problem. But it was very easy for me to sell the things that I really thought were awesome. And I'm kind of like that in all areas of my life. If you know me, you know what I mean. So that all went really well for me. And I grew a clientele very, very quickly. I did transition to be an independent contractor within that same salon, but I wouldn't have left because you feel like, oh, there's this you have your own independent space. But the way the build out of that salon was crafted is everybody had their own like cubicles almost. So it was an open floor, but then everybody was, partitioned by a half wall. And where my sink was, the chair was right in front of it. So if you can imagine me turning my chair 180 degrees, then leaning the client back, that's where the shampoo bowl was. Then after I washed them, then I turned them back around, put this like wooden top thing down, like basically counter. And that became my like station to style and set things on and work with guests in that kind of a way. So I don't know if you can picture that, but it got to a point where I was double and triple booked and the quality started to suffer. And I actually tried to bring in a couple young professionals to potentially assist me, and there just really wasn't the room. So I was like, this could be a chance for me to explore finding my first salon space. Now, let me also share that within my first salon, there wasn't officially an education program. And I asked, hey, could I start this? Could I coordinate it? The answer was like, absolutely. And so tons of support. And I will tell you guys, this was back in like 2007. So my first role as a stylist was a commission salon, and it was 100% commission. So it's not like I got hourly pay until I could afford to go on commission or met the KPIs to get there. My first paycheck for 2 weeks of work was $189. But if you know me, you know I've always played many roles in life. And so I was serving at a restaurant. I was working at a plus size clothing store a couple shifts a week. And then I was also working part-time teaching Pilates. So I was just always working, and loved it. I wanted to be busy. I'm still like that today. I really like being around people and having something and a purpose to every single day. Well, started the education program, really honed in on that, and realized like with the hybrid model, what we kind of struggle with is not everybody came to education. If they were an independent, they didn't have to, of course. And I was like, gosh, I really want a team setting. So simultaneous to being double and triple booked and finding myself in a situation where I was outgrowing the space literally, I was also yearning for maybe a different model where people could thrive in a team environment, more open concept environment, and have that support with education and also the financials. I wanted to offer stylists an opportunity to make more than they could anywhere else. I always wanted our stylists to earn more than the average income of a USA hairstylist. And we really achieved that. So in 2010, I opened Be Inspired Salon. Our first location was 750 square feet. And boy, did we packed it into that amount of space. We had 5 styling stations. We had 2 shampoo bowls. We had 2 dryer chairs, a little makeup area, and we still had the little front desk with retail shelving. We had a little utility room, and then kind of you open this hallway and it went to a common area bathroom space and a break room. Oh my gosh, you guys, the break room had our laundry in it. And it was 115 square feet. Like this couldn't have been legal. We had like a little mini fridge that everybody shared. It was wild. That space was my first little baby. I didn't even know if I wanted to have kids. And that was just everything to me. I showed up at 8 a.m. I stayed till 11 p.m. I was drinking my calories at that point, like surviving on coffee all day long. And at night I'd have a bottle of wine. I actually don't drink anymore at all. But back then it was awesome. I was like, survive and thrive. Let's go. But Be Inspired Salon grew really quickly, and I'm proud that we did it without offering discounts. So marketing is also something I love. Marketing is communication, you guys. You're always communicating with 4 groups of people, and that is your team, prospective team members, your clients, and prospective clients. And that is just something I genuinely enjoy, like crafting messages, sharing ideas, communicating, collaborating, just check all the categories. I love working with all of those 4 categories of people. And there's an important way to market to each of them. So I knew that I wanted to market the salon in a way where it was adding value to the minds of future guests, meaning this is back when Groupon was super hot. I did not want to do a Groupon. I did not want to offer any crazy deals for people to come in because I wanted to attract quality people who really valued what we brought to the table. And so I'm really proud to say that Be Inspired Salon has never offered discounts like that. Now, we will offer specials and flash sales, and we'll offer gift cards, gifts, so those are marketing strategies you can put in place where technically when the customer checks out, they are getting a discount price, but we never offer discounts. We never said the words coupon. I never even like using the words off, like $50 off this, 20% off. Like that's not how I market. And so everything is a gift give or a value give. That is the way that we approach things. And really was important that we did well with that, because my very first 2 hires were people who did not have clientele. One was fresh out of beauty school, and the other moved to the area, did have experience behind the chair, but did move to the area and did not have any clientele. And if you've ever heard the term guerrilla marketing, this is what I did, which meant I got on foot and went out and met the people. Have you seen the movie Sister Act, where they're like, you got to get out and meet the people? This is what I did. I wasn't scared to show up to chamber events, networking events. I remember there was this huge women's expo, and I never could afford to have a booth at that expo, but I showed up on foot with flyers and just started walking through the expo and handing out flyers to people, and even meeting the vendors and making connections with other businesses in the area, and just never afraid to put myself out there. And I just want that to be a message for all of you too. You cannot fear rejection. First off, people are going to either vibe with you or they're not, and that's okay. You're going to find your people, but it's the masses. You got to get out. You got to meet the people. You got to meet a lot of people. And I'm just handing gift cards out left and right. Here's a $20 gift card. Come to our salon, experience the difference. Like, every day my mission was to go out and fill the seats for my team, because back in 2010, we still had the model of 100% commission. There was no hourly pay that I could offer to support somebody new at that time. And so that is wildly different than today, of course, but that was important to me. Their success was 100% dependent on my ability to help them build a clientele. I've always had that as a mission. And even to this day, post salon ownership, that's still my mission through Maya. So the salon grew very quickly, but I could only take it so far with great marketing. I needed to figure out how to scale the business. So I show up at this business networking group, and I see this guy stand up, and he is a high D on the DISC personality profile, you guys, which means he's very dominant, driven, direct. And man, I like that. I want to know, just shoot it to me straight. And he stood up and he was bringing up things like cash flow forecasting. He's like, I'm not going to BS you. If you don't have this going on, you're probably going to fail. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy knows everything about business that I don't know. I need to hire him. Now, I was really scared. This was just a year into owning a salon. And by the way, sometimes the people that love you the most can also scar you the deepest. They can hurt you the deepest, provide the deepest wounds in your life. And I'll never forget, somebody very close to me knew the way I was running the salon when I first opened, which was basically on grit and caffeine and alcohol and like just getting after it every day and marketing. But they also knew behind the scenes that I didn't have a freaking clue about the financials. And they looked at me and they said, you're never going to be successful. I will never forget that. And I'm kind of one of those people that's like, really? Well, I'll show you. I've said that to so many people, like, how egotistical is that, where I'm like, you bet on the wrong horse. I've said that to people. I've said, just sit back and watch, because I am going to blow up this business. It's going to be incredible. And I like kind of being the underdog. I've always kind of thrived on people thinking less of me so I can go out and prove them wrong. But also, that's not super healthy long term. But I was very motivated when I heard this man speak on cash flow forecasting and the profit margins and all of these things that I knew nothing about at the time. I thought, I need to hire him. Well, he cost $2,000 a month, which meant that I would meet with him once per week and that every single session was $500. But I took the risk, because without risk, there's no reward. And if I didn't hire him, where would I be? I'd be in the same spot or worse further out. Plus, I was really good at not just attracting clientele, you guys, I was attracting more hairstylists. So at this time, I think we had a team of 6. And I knew that I had to get my crap together to be successful and sustainable for the team that I had in place. I could only take building them up in clientele so far. I need to figure out how to scale. So by working with him, our first year of working with him, we had an 878% increase in profit. We grew into the space next door to us. So we went from 750 square feet to 1150 square feet. We went from 5 stations to 9 stations, 2 shampoo bowls to 4 shampoo bowls. And that was a game changer. I grew the team to 19 people in that 1150 square foot space. Remember, we had a 115 square foot break room, which is crazy. And we hit our $1 million in that location. It was incredible. And we were doing really well. And I was doing well. And you know what? If you're not a salon owner and you're listening, you need to want your salon owner to do well, because there's a lot of bitterness and resentment that can come if you put your heart, soul, time, energy, sweat, equity, everything, your house on the line, your family, you put everything on the line in order to have this business so that it can provide a space for everybody to thrive together. It's all about togetherness. We're all people who want to be loved and love others. So if they're not wildly successful, then you should be worried about the future of your state, of your salon. Please have a great attitude about that. Please support your salon owner and want them to be very, very successful in every way, because it's kind of like happy wife, happy life. If your salon owner is doing awesome, you're going to do awesome because they showed up for you from day one, and they'll show up for you even when crap is not going great. Okay. So we need to have a better mindset about our salon owners, because they are there for you, and they should also have some rewards for this, and it can be great rewards. So there's my piece on that. I had this company come to me and say, hey, there's going to be a brand new, beautiful luxury apartment complex opening up about 3 miles away from this location. Your lease is almost up. Would you be open to moving, and we'll do a build out and all of that? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this would be incredible. I really want to expand. So we opened a brand new location in 2018. This is the 3rd expansion we've had. However, it was wild because that building wasn't even built yet before we had to do our floor plan. So I worked with this incredible designer from a whole different state. She was in Michigan. I was in Wisconsin. She specialized in lighting and could help me with the floor plan. I had to know what floor plan we were going to do before the actual apartment complex was built, because they told me that once we start building, if you got to go through the concrete and there's underground parking underneath you, that is going to cost way more than if we know your plan up front. So we worked really hard on getting that created, having the plan, figuring it out, and being strategic. And in that 2250 square foot location, or I'm sorry, it's just under 2,500 square feet. That location has 14 stations, 6 shampoo bowls, 2 different dryer benches. So I think it's like 8 dryers, a makeup area, a retail area, a whole utility room with the laundry in it, separate from the actual break room, 2 bathrooms built right into the space, and plenty of storage. We did custom cabinetry, custom stations, and we went really tall with everything. I loved the space so much because 3 out of the 4 walls were all windows, and I love natural light, you guys. Like I really thrive with sunlight. So it was a dream. That was the beginning of the most epic growth part of our journey ever. We in that space did 1.4 million in our peak prior to all of a sudden COVID. Okay, so COVID, now mind you, I've had trials leading up to this time frame where people would leave or exit. I'd be shocked because I knew how well our team did financially. I knew the things that we were providing for education and benefits, and I was always shocked that people would have a reason to leave. And I will admit, and everybody that knows me knows that I take things a little more personally because I'm a ride or die, very loyal person. And I am there for people and I don't leave people easily. So that has been a hard part of this journey. Being a salon owner is not for the faint of heart. If you are somebody who maybe it's like the Enneagram 3 aspect to me, where rejection is my biggest fear and it's the biggest nightmare for me, to feel rejected, to feel like I was vulnerable enough for you to know me. And then you decided at some point you didn't like me anymore and you left me. That is the most painful thing for me personally. Some people are more resilient in that way. That's just not one of my strengths. So we had gone through that, but it wasn't until COVID where I couldn't do anything right for the team. We went and bought this amazing air quality technology that was used by the Major League Baseball teams. It was used in hospitals. It was another level of technology where it could identify viruses and molds and toxins in the air and grab onto it with a hydrogen molecule, and it would just crush it out. So it was a huge investment financially, but we got it for our space, and we put all the typical policies in place that you had to, depending on the state you're in. Well, shame on me. One day I posted on social media, which I have never done ever since, my opinion on our governor continuing to keep us on shutdown. And I did not agree with that. I felt we are essential. We've got this. We're safe. We can stay open. Not everybody in my area liked that. So we started experiencing loss. And it was such a fear-based time frame where we had stylists who were legitimately scared for their lives to be in this environment during the coronavirus pandemic. There wasn't much for conversation though. Like, my post went out, and by the way, it had over 900 comments, and I had many people saying like they couldn't believe how well I was responding to people. My post actually wasn't clickbaity. It wasn't pointing fingers. It was like, I really don't agree with this, and here's why. What are your guys' thoughts? And it was more of a collaborative approach. And it really, it blew up, but people were so impressed that when somebody else would put in a comment something very mean or vicious, my response was very gracious and trying to hear them out and meet people where they're at, because I do believe that we should seek first to understand before being understood. And just keeping a good head on my shoulders with those types of things, I wanted to be responsible in how I publicly approached that. Well, it really did backfire, and we ended up losing over the course of the next 6 months. Over half of our team was gone. We lost well over $600,000 worth of revenue. And I had never spiraled into, at that point, I had never spiraled into for real depression. Like, I understand now what it feels like to actually be depressed. Now I can talk about this now, but in the moment I didn't. And some of my industry friends throughout the US are like, why didn't you come talk to us? We would have been there for you. I felt such shame and embarrassment, and like, who am I? I'm out here offering, at the time, version 1 of Maya. I'm doing this podcast. I'm here trying to help teach and support and encourage and lift others up in this industry. And now what? I'm full of crap. I'm not to be trusted. I'm nobody anybody could look up to. You have all these self-defeating beliefs, false beliefs coming to your head during these times sometimes, right? Like when you go through these really hard times sometimes. And so that was the biggest struggle ever, and truly, truly depressed. My, at the time, 3-year-old son saw his mother laying in bed almost every day, crying her eyes out, really not able to function. I've never, ever had that where I was hard for me to get out of bed and I was just sobbing and really at the time eating my feelings. Some people got in great shape during COVID. This girl put on over 40 pounds, and I was already up quite a bit from having our first child. So not the best season for me, but it was like, okay, do or die. You pull up your bootstraps and you get after it, or what? What are you going to do? So I'm like, this is not going to be the end of this story for me. And I just took it one day at a time. I showed up and I did what I had to do to rebuild. And it really started with sound leadership, bringing in Anson, who is brilliant at operational aspects of things, helping me redefine, with the help of Allison King with Beauty 365 Consulting. How do we look at our inventory differently and get over this hump? Like, you'll just figure it out. You figure out, where do we make the proper cuts? How do we optimize what we do have going on with the now team size that we have? How do we grow the team? How do we bring in new and different leadership? So we did that, and we grew the salon back up to over $1 million of revenue again for another time. So this is incredible. I'm super, super proud that we got to the other side. And by the way, I couldn't have done it without bringing on great leaders who believed in what we were doing, who had a similar mindset as I did, who loved people and really met individuals where they're at. Like, it was a group effort. So the salon got built back up. And in the meantime, Maya's over here supporting hundreds of salons throughout the US. We're in COVID. We ended up forgiving and like saying to salons, hey, no need to pay us right now. If you're going through hard times, if you're closed or whatever, especially California, we're just going to pause. We're going to keep it going. So you have the software functioning for you, because this is so important that we have that. But we're going to pause on payments until you get to the other side of this. And by the way, we never once went back and tried to collect back pay. So not to say, oh, we're such a great people, but I'm like, how would I need or want or truly hope to be treated during this season of struggle? And we had never been through anything like this before. So we're to the other side of COVID. We're growing back up. Maya's thriving. And it's just go time. We are, it's true when they say that every challenge really opens the door to opportunity. That is so true, because had we not been just completely knocked down, we would not have been so on top of our inventory, so on top of our systems. How do we optimize what we have going on? How simplify, you guys? Like, we actually got rid of accepting cash and got rid of the cash drawer, because it was just this long management step where people had to make trips to the bank and this and that. And we're like, let's just get rid of it. We'll accept credit cards only. So it costs us more as a company, but who always pays? The customer. If you think that any change with anything in the world is not going to fall on your lap as the customer, we all see that that's not true. Anything happens, it's like, how much are we paying for gas now? So we just bumped up pricing a little bit to cover the extra cost of credit card fees. So we don't actually charge a surcharge, or didn't charge a surcharge for credit card fees. We just bumped up the prices to take into account that now we're only going to accept credit cards. But that simplified so much. And we just worked really hard on that. Instead of meeting every single week as a team, we met once per month. We created weekly digital bulletins instead. And it's like, how can we make this better than ever? And instead of just any education every single week, we brought in big names every single month. We've had people like Jay Ladner at our salon, and Nina Tullio, and Emily Chen, and Andrew Carruthers. I mean, the list goes on, you guys. We've had so many amazing professionals visit Madison, Wisconsin. So meanwhile, another space becomes available, because I'm like, we're kind of tapped out. Like, if we don't grow, what's going to happen? We have no more room for stations. By the way, during COVID, we decided to go from being open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. to being open 9 to 7. And we did that and said, we don't want to, and Mondays we used to open at noon and work till 9. And we're like, let's change this up. Let's be a Tuesday through Saturday salon. During the week, it'll be 9 to 7, and on Saturdays, still 8 to 2. Well, after COVID, we didn't want to go back, So it's like, well, if we're not going to have more hours available and we really don't have room for more team members here, what's the next step? Well, this opportunity came to my plate where it was a turnkey situation on the other side of town. So our first location was on the west side of Madison. This other was on the east side of the Capitol. And we're like, yeah, let's do it. We don't have to spend any money on new stations or shampoo bowls or any of those things. What we need the capital for was inventory and human capital. We needed to grow the team. And that was something that I had never learned to do before. You don't ever want to rob Peter to pay Paul, which means it's not like we took half of our team at west to east. We took 2 key players from our west location to start east. And then we really worked hard to grow that team. So we grew. And by the way, so did Maya. In the midst of all this, Maya's blowing up in a whole new way. So if you're like, what is this Maya that you keep talking about? You guys, we are the number one software that needs to be implemented on your salon or spa website. If you do not have Maya implemented into your website is not complete. Okay. This is lead magnet, lead generation, client conversion, client nurturing, marketing, everything. You can go to the link in our show notes to check it out, but that's what I'll say about Maya. Maya is blowing up. I mean, we're now in multiple countries. We're doing all these things. I'm flying and speaking and going all different places every single month while the salon is also growing. Now it's growing because we have great leadership. The leadership is so great that I see something special in my manager, Heather, who knows. So that's why I'm calling you out, Heather. And I'm like, man, you just have the heart of an owner. You will be here morning, noon, and night. You'll take calls on a Sunday. You'll show up for people. You'll go out of your way. You come up with creative ideas. You execute. You don't overthink it. You try and decide and move on. And working with Heather was so much fun. Her and I were tracking on such the same page that I'm like, I really feel like you are the one I want to pass the torch to. So I saw something special in her. And this is often what I do is I see, and I think it's one of my superpowers. When you think about you being a leader, what's one of your superpowers? I think we all have a few main superpowers. And one of mine is seeing the really special, unique strengths of others and knowing how to position them properly. So it's having that right person in the right position. And that's something that I really love doing and honing in on. So Heather is exceptional. And I'm building her up and I'm coaching her. And we are just, we're looking at things in a whole new way of like, you are going to be the next owner of this business. Well, Heather asked me to marry her and her husband, be like the ordained facilitator, minister. Like, I don't even know, like I'm going to be the one to marry you. And I cried when she gave me, I just thinking about it. I was like, have you asked your parents if this is okay? And she was like, yes. And it was so special. You guys, I went out and got coaching, it's like the coach needs a coach. I needed coaching on like, how do I go and marry somebody? I don't think I'll ever do that again. Like, it was just such a special thing. I've given so many talks and I've been in front of people for various reasons with fitness or music, but to marry a couple and be that person to facilitate their biggest day of their lives, that love story, that message, it was very special. It was such an honor. So I marry them and I just love them so much. They are the best people. They are hardworking. They get after it. Well, shortly after their wedding, Heather gets pregnant. We all know where this is going, right? It's not a bad thing, but I am like, oh my gosh, we better hurry and figure this out if you're going to be the owner. And we're dreaming, Heather and I are dreaming it up. Well, on the backside are the actuals, like, okay, where are we at financially? Where's our P&Ls to show her? We're basically like, when you hear the advice that succession planning needs to start now and not like a month before you actually want to exit, or it can take years. You need to have your act together Now, this is why I recommend my girl, Mary Beth Burns, who works with Salon Spa Connection. We'll get into that in a little bit, but you have to have somebody advocate for you, help you figure it out. When Heather was like ready to actually look at the numbers, the situation, I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. Like, let's look at it. Well, my person who handles all of that did not have any of that ready. Well, Heather has her baby. And after having a baby, you start figuring life out. We created a different schedule for Heather so she could be home with her son and then in the salon, and things just started to change. I could feel it. And she cared about me so much. She didn't really want to tell me that this wasn't the dream she had anymore. And I kind of knew, but it was hard to hear, but also very understanding. Heather ended up wanting to move back to her home state to be close to her family. Who could blame you for that? It does take a village to help raise children. So Heather makes the move back home. By the way, has the best life. Still to this day, we talk, we collaborate, we're each other's cheerleaders. And I just have the biggest heart for her. And I can't say enough good about it. So, but what I will say, preparation meets opportunity. If you are not prepared, the opportunity might present itself and you're going to be screwed. And that's where I was at. I have a lot of harboring resentment about not being prepared. At the end of the day, though, it may not be your fault if, like, let's say that wasn't my job. It wasn't my job to prepare the P&L. That's not my role I played in the company, but it's my company. So it's my responsibility. So I was like, this cannot happen again. So I kind of let it go. I was like, okay, we're going to work with the team we have. We have an amazing leader operationally who's still going to run the salon. We have an amazing marketing group at our, like, we have all these amazing people. Like, we can do this. So even though we had really missed Heather, what I didn't see at the time is that we were in a season of change again, kind of like the COVID season. We started having really, and this all kind of happened with Heather's maternity leave, honestly. When your main leader leaves your salon, who's stepping up to be the one to lead and influence? And by the way, you're not a leader if people aren't following you. If people aren't following your lead, following your advice, following your influence, being influenced by you and being encouraged and wanting to elevate themselves, believing in what you have to say, how you coach them, that's subject to vulnerability. Your company is going to be very, very vulnerable, and ours was. So while I had an amazing operational leader in place, that type of leadership where you're like magnetic and you draw people in and people can't wait. Like, I want to work with you. I want to be hired by you. I don't want to work with you. I want to be here. I want to grow. We were losing that. And even our top leaders were exiting, saying, yeah, I'm going to go do my own thing. And we slowly had an exodus, you guys. It was a slow burn walkout again. And I was besides myself. At this point, we're offering health insurance, dental insurance, paid time off, 100% for disability. Our education was thriving. And I'm just like, whoa, what's going on? Now, while Heather was on maternity leave, I found out that some of the team members had a little dispute going on. There was a little friendship cliquey group thing happening where some people were not being so friendly with some other people. And I was like, what are we doing here? This is like high school drama bullcrap. I don't want to get into it. I don't love it. And I really tried to give everybody a voice, an ear, see it from their perspective. I don't give up on people. I do not fire people very easily, very rarely. And so I'm trying to be the peacemaker. I'm trying to see how in the heck we move forward. And then I start to see the signs and I'm letting people know, well, I think this one is going to work itself out. I don't think I have to go and fire them. I think I can feel they're probably going to exit themselves. And that is what happened. But over time, that exiting really, really affects the morale. So if you're a salon owner and you've ever had a walkout, you know what I mean. You know that one person leaves, then the next, and then your heart is like freaking racing. You're losing sleep. You're getting anxiety. You're just like, oh my gosh, who's next? What's next? And I started to feel this sense of sabotage. I started to feel like behind my back and behind the scenes, there was some wild sabotage stuff going on. It started off as friend groups butting heads, and then it turned into now Katie is the enemy. This is the common denominator. Katie's the problem. She's not an on-site owner. She's out of sight, out of mind, not here, doesn't actually care. She's collecting Benjamins while we're all working hard. We're raising prices. We're making more, but our commission percentage isn't going up. And that salon over there, even though they charge $50 less per color, they get 50% commission. What the heck? Oh, Lord, trust me. I was losing my shit. And I had stress levels to a whole other level that I've never experienced. So in the past, I would, during COVID, sleep and just stay in bed, like crying myself all day long in bed to sleep. It was terrible. I was eating my feelings. Going through a life transformation of giving up alcohol and dialing in on my strength training and yoga practice and gratitude practice. And I'm in such a routine, eating clean, all the things, that I was like, self-sabotage is not a fucking option this time, okay? Self-sabotage? No. So I show up and I start sharing. In the past, I kept that stuff inside, but this time, no. I'm like, who do I trust that actually cares about me and has my back, that I can go and let them know shit is hitting the fan? What do I do? What do I do about this? And so I show up one day at a time. I get out of bed. I do all my things. And you know what? I'm really proud of myself. I'm going to say that because I stayed awesome, but my body took a hit. So it's interesting when you're super stressed, how things can manifest physically and with your health. So even though I was showing up, all these weird things started happening. And I'll tell you, in 5 months, I had 7 rounds of antibiotics for UTIs. Now, I'll just preface that after childbirth, some women pee a little in their pants, but not this girl. I'm on lockdown. My pelvis is so tight. Dream come true for some scenarios. For others, not great when you cannot fully empty when you go to the bathroom. Not great when you have to start to self-catheter to be able to fully empty. And I'm like, what's going on? I just cannot get rid of these UTIs. So I'm getting referred to like urology, and like it is a whole nother level. Then out of nowhere, I get these canker sores. I go to my med spa because I love the owner and trust her with everything. And I'm like, what's going on my lips? I have these canker sores. She's like, honey, those are cold sores. And I was like, no, I've never had cold sores in my life. Is my past like catching up with me? She's like, this is not a sexually transmitted thing. And I'm like, oh. But she goes, it can lay dormant, and it can, for most people, lay dormant for years and years and years. Like 80% of people apparently have this virus laying dormant, and it can just pop up when you're very, very, very stressed. And I was like, no way. Okay. Third thing, I start seeing these lightning bolts in my eyes, and it's not like migraine. It wasn't like my head's pounding the light. I can't handle light. It was not like that. It was like, I literally just like got blurry vision and I saw lightning bolts. So I sign up to go to see the eye doctor, and I'm like, please look at my retina. Oh my gosh, am I losing my eyesight? I always think like my poor decisions are catching up with me, and I do a stand-up tanning bed thing, and I'm like, is this from not wearing glasses in there and being on my phone? So whatever, don't judge me. It's fine. But he's like, your eyesight's great. What you're describing is like an ocular migraine, usually caused by stress. And I'm like, whoa, that is crazy. Thank you for letting me know. So the fourth thing, I was waking up multiple times in the night with insane leg cramps, not just Charlie horses in the calves. I'm talking calves, front of the shin, top of the foot, bottom of the foot, in the toes. Like where I would have to just sit and hold my leg because all these areas would be cramped up and clenched at the same time. And there was nothing I could do. If I walked, it would cramp one way. If I flexed my foot, it would cramp the other way. Like I just had to lay there and hold my body and just wait for it to go away. It was crazy. And I'm like fucking dying. This is killing me. Who can I tell? I can tell Mary Beth Burns. And I called her and I said, Mary Beth, Maya is doing amazing, but my salons are not. And I need to find a new leader to come in and take this on. I need somebody ideally who is behind the chair, who can be a light that people look up to, somebody who's got skin in the game, who loves others, and who actually is awesome behind the chair themselves. Like this is what a lot of salons need, but especially what our salon needed. We needed that in-person leader that was like actually on the floor, side by side on the front lines with the team. Well, once I put the feelers out for a new salon owner, I actually had 4 NDAs out the door, 4 different non-disclosure agreements with prospective buyers who were interested. One I think was just a looky-loo, trying to she's thirsty. It's fine. And I knew who she was, and I was still like, come check out the salon you probably will never own. It's fine. But a couple were really good people. Really, one had HR experience, and I could see being awesome at leading operational aspects of things. Another was another salon owner that thought, oh, I'll keep Be Inspired Salon, and keep my own salon in the area. But, and I have a heart for her because she was one of my greatest mentors along the way. So those 3 were prospective buyers, but then there was a 4th, and the 4th was Hannah. Hannah, I did not anticipate to be actually the one, but when shit was starting to hit the fan at the salon, your girl here is so freaking selfish sometimes. I can admit it, but I was really nervous about my own hair. And I was like, if my stylist, I just had that feeling, by the way, I had that deep internal gut feeling that she was going to exit and that I was being played. And I was. And I knew that if she left, who in the heck is going to do my hair? Because I have these IBE hair extensions and I am keeping that forever. Like there is no going back. I need to find somebody who can do my hair. So funny enough, I have a friend who said, I know somebody right by your house that does IBE hair extensions. So when I met Hannah, my very first conversation with her was about me and my hair extensions. That was literally a consult about my own hair extensions. And I didn't tell her who I was at first I didn't say, oh, I'm Kati Whitledge and I own this salon in the area. I just was like, and I did say my name is Kati Whitledge, but I wasn't like, oh, do you know who I am? I own these salons. I just kept that on the down low, but I really genuinely wanted to know, like, if I have to go somewhere else, what is this going to cost me? And so I started learning about Hannah. I came in for blowouts. She didn't do my hair extensions yet because my person hadn't left yet. And I was holding on to the thread of hope that I could craft a way for her to stay like I always do. I'm like bending over backwards, doing all these things. Like how do I figure out how to keep this person excited, offer them an opportunity? Maybe they could be an owner. Do they want that opportunity? Do they want to be coached and learn how to do that? Like I really genuinely wanted the best for the salon, the team, for everybody. But yet I knew in my heart, like, I'm going to keep this relationship going with Hannah, and it's great. She's so close to me, and once in a while I can get my hair done by her. So I'm super thankful that I established that authentically with her. By the way, Hannah knew things were not going great. She knew that I had lost team members. She knew that so it was like the second visit. I actually came for a blowout with Hannah. And I was like, well, I have to tell you something that I didn't tell you the first time I met you. And that is that I own Be Inspired Salons. And the reason I want to come to you is I have this really gut feeling like my stylist who does my hair, I feel like she's going to leave. We've had some other stylists leave. It's not been great. But I really want to establish a relationship with somebody that I can trust. And by the way, it's kind of refreshing as a salon owner to get your hair done elsewhere sometimes and just to be taken care of. When you're around your team, sometimes you feel the sense of like having to be on all the time. And I just needed a break. I needed to be myself without worrying like if what I'm going to say is going to be judged or gossiped about in the break room, or like, can I even be the real me? When you experience that amount of loss, that can really mess with you. What I haven't even brought up is some cyber bullying that went down. I never looked at it. I heard that there was quite a conversation online about me, and I just literally was like, I know myself and I will spiral because I shouldn't care what other people think of me. But deep down, I do. I think it's the pastor's child in me, but it really affects me deeply when other people think poorly of me. Because no, I'm not perfect. And of course, there are times I'm selfish or have made decisions for my own gains. And yet I love others and always make decisions to propel everybody. I never want to build myself up at the sake or cost of others being pushed down or hurt. Like I'm always like, how can we create a win for everybody? So I was like, I can't read whatever's being said about me because I'm going to lose it. So all this was going on, and I sometimes felt like I couldn't even be the real me inside my own salons. So it was really nice to have that escape and be around somebody that I could just have a friendship with and build a relationship with. And Hannah just had something about her. She was like Heather. Her work ethic was unbelievable. She'd be like, oh, today I'm working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And I'm like, what? This is insane. Like, who does that nowadays? Well, the best do, the most successful. They still prioritize their downtime, their getaways, their fun, but they go hard because they love it and they want to. And that's cool. I love that. I respect that so much. So when I presented Hannah, I was like, I am looking for the next owner. And I think it could be so awesome to find somebody who's behind the chair. Like, it was crazy. I was like, well, let's just meet for coffee about it. So we met for coffee. Well, she texted me actually. She was like, hey, you really got me thinking about this. And I was like, well, let's meet for coffee. So we sat down for coffee, and it's so funny. We were both bringing it to the table because she was like, had her laptop. She was going to show me where her numbers was at. She wanted me to know, like, she's been really successful and she thinks she could be the owner of Be Inspired Salons. And I'm over here like, oh my gosh, I really see her being the one. I want her to know that. So we both had come to that meeting wanting to influence the other, that you should be the one, right? Like, this is so cool. And then we went from there. It was like, well, let's rock and roll. I go, the team needs somebody now. I mean, like, I know that the team needs that leadership now. They are, especially one of our locations, just the morale had been so affected by the loss. It gets in people's heads too, So I'm like, we need to build these team members up as soon as possible. Well, I could never have done any of this. Remember, preparation meets opportunity. I still at this point wasn't prepared when it came to the documentation. Whole other story of personal strife in the home. I won't get into all that, but it was like, man, I really needed my partner to step up and have this area ready to go. And it wasn't, but we got help. And that, my friends, is Mary Beth Burns, who is with Salon Spa Connection. So that's a brokerage company specifically for salon and spas. They help people find owners, and there are owners looking for salon and spa businesses that come from the industry and some that don't. But I more so need I said, Mary Beth, I got these people interested, but what I need your help with is like, what do I got to do to actually make this official? I am not the spreadsheet girl. Many owners are. That's awesome. I'm more like, give me the summary of what the spreadsheet said. And that's me. So I needed to dive into the details a little bit more. And that's where I'm like, Mary Beth is so good with this. She's like, here's everything you're going to need to pull off, including the landlords approving this new owner and saying, yes, you, Katie, can get off of the lease, transfer it over, and not have it be like a sublease weird thing where if things don't go well, it's still going to fall on your shoulders. I'm like, no, we got to get this figured out. So I still have to show up. I still have to go and I meet with the landlords each individually. And I'm just really doing what I do, which is sharing the vision. This is where the salon is headed under Hannah's leadership. This is why Hannah's perfect. This is where we're at, and this is what I'm going to need from you. And then I just stayed on their ass every single day until we got the deal done. So did Mary Beth. Like, she was awesome. We had this whole checklist. And, she did evaluation of the company too, because at this point we had a loss, right, of team members. And I was like, I need a realistic number. Like, I know what we want to get for the sale of salon, but what are we actually going to be able to get? And I was at a point where I'm open to whatever that looks like realistically, as long as I'm putting in the hands of the right person to continue on the legacy. So sometimes when you see marketing of like, the salon sold, it's all like, wow, you must be doing amazing. And it's like, not everything is what it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. It's never as good as it seems. I'll just say that. Mary Beth did evaluation and actually came in higher than I anticipated. And I was very thankful for that. And I was like, okay, this is great. So we presented that, and Hannah at that point had to submit a letter of intent to purchase. You have a choice to sell the salon based on your revenue or the assets. So we sold it as an asset purchase agreement. And that's broken up into various categories. Long story short, with those details are, once the letter of intent came through, we kind of went back and forth on negotiating. And then once we had that signed, it was go time. It was like, okay, now we actually start doing all the transitional paperwork where you become the real new owner. Man, it was awesome. Like, Mary Beth goes, Katie, I know you're a woman of faith. And so is Mary Beth. I would be calling Mary Beth, freaking out, crying, stressed. She'd be like praying with me, literally on the spot, like, Heavenly Father, please. Like, those are the type of friends you need in your corner. And not just a friend, but she was also an advocate. She's smart. What I love about Mary Beth is she had my back. She also had Hannah's back. We worked together with Hannah so that this was a win across the board. Everybody walked away with the best possible outcome. And that's what we created with this succession, with this salon sale. And so, and I also wanted to capture the moments, like the moment that Hannah signed the agreements, the moment that everything was official. I mean, Hannah brought in her family to tour the salon, and I'm grabbing little clips to send her that she can share and post about. I'm preparing for a public announcement, like getting the PR ready. I'm preparing for the marketing that's going to go out to all the clients. And the big thing, preparing to tell the team. So the team knew. I kept saying, you guys, please don't give up on me. Don't give up on Be Inspired Salon. Like, I promise you, I have a life-giving announcement coming. Like, I'm working on this, you guys. This is not just a one-time educational experience. This is going to be a gift that keeps on giving. Like, please, please, please trust me. And even in the midst of things, we're still like, we know people are going to be leaving. We had somebody put in a resignation, and we knew, like, in the midst of even this great news, we're going to have somebody who was finishing out their notice. So it was what it was. And my main focus was, how do I announce this to the team? So they understand it's going to be easy. They don't lose out on their benefits. Everything's going to be transitioned in a very efficient way. But also that they're excited, that they see that truly, 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 I wasn't going to throw in the towel. I was going to make sure that I left this salon in the hands of the best person, that they were all going to be better off for it. And Hannah too, like announcing it to the team went so beautifully. And of course, everybody was like, well, what the F? What's going on? Is this real? What the? But they were also, I could sense this sense of like intrigue and excitement and like, wow, let's just see how this goes. And even Hannah was like, who's not overly emotional, was like crying, like telling everybody from her heart, this is a dream come true for me. She is working 5 days a week behind the chair between 2 locations. I'm going to eventually help her transition out of that, but at first, that is what is necessary. And even when I first opened the salon, I was behind the chair the whole time. Right away, though, being double and triple booked, I was like, how do I get my clients to fall in this great relationship, fall in love with these other stylists on my team? That's the matchmaker in me, you guys. And I kind of curated clientele with my own clientele for others based on who they were and their personality style and who I knew they'd be a good fit with and whatnot. But Hannah is just freaking rocking it. She is literally putting in 7 days a week since she started. And I have her back. I have everybody's back there. Like the people there know I'm still coming in to get my hair done. I get to see them. I'm their biggest fan. I'm supporting their posts themselves, like everything. And also there for Hannah, like this is going to be new for her to offer health insurance and dental and all these like administrative things, but that's not who the right type of owner is. It's not somebody who's awesome at the paperwork. It's somebody who's awesome at the people. And Hannah is a lover of others, and she puts in the time and effort. She's put more energy into loving on the spaces than I could do or have done in a long time. She is there for the team. She's invested, and the team looks up to her. They're already seeing service experiences that she's providing that they maybe haven't had a chance to witness from the other team members that they have been working around. But yet she's so humble about it, and she's collaborative with them. I literally can't say enough about how thankful I am that God orchestrated helping me find that perfect person. And it's everybody's dream come true. It's going to be the best for the team there. It is going to be a dream for Hannah, and it already is. And it's been a dream for me. It was really, really weird the first week of retiring from the salon. I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? Who am I? And now I'm like, I feel great. I feel great because I'm truly aligned with my calling, which is to support and elevate salon owners, not just with our software. Maya is so awesome. I can't say enough good about how pivotal it is to implement Maya into your website, to have it as a marketing extension to help your salon and team grow. I'm called to that. I'm also called, though, to be a friend to salon owners. Salon ownership can feel so lonely. Somebody needs to hype you up, to be a sounding board, to provide an outlet, to be a visionary for how do we bring one another together. Let's get rid of the bullshit and actually get to the point. What are we working towards? How are we going to do it? What are the best of everybody's ideas? How can we implement this? How do I keep my head on straight? How do I handle emotional times? If you are a salon owner who has ever been in like a close-knit relationship with me, you know that I will always listen to you, ask the right questions, and I'll also tell you hard, loving truth, but in the most truly loving way, because I want you to be successful. I want you to have a life that you dreamed of and that you deserve. I don't think I could ever get out of being in the salon industry, like beauty industry. I'm super thankful to have the opportunity to retire from salon ownership because it's not my calling anymore. but I am still called to work with salon owners and industry leaders and build you up. And it's important for me to show up and be as awesome. And this is for you too. Show up, be the absolute best version that you were created to be, because by doing that, you subconsciously give other people permission to do the same thing. It is our responsibility to be amazing so that we can go and be amazing for others and to elevate them and inspire them, equip them, empower them, influence them. You guys, I love our time together. This is part 1. You're like, what else is there for part 2? Here's what I want to do. Danielle on our team, you may know her, Team Maya, runs all of our social media, including Beyond the Technique. And we're going to put this episode out and we're going to ask you, what are your FAQs? So you already know that I'm the storyteller behind all of this, but what are the dirty details? I want to hear from you. Submit your questions. So either comment on today's release and tell me, what do you want to know? You can email us info@joinmaya.com. info@joinmya.com. Email us your questions, comment on our posts with your questions, DM us on social media with your questions about this sale. What do you think you need to know? What are those? The asset purchase agreement is one agreement. There were like 12 things that needed to be signed and sent over. If you want to know all of these little details, submit your questions on what is really the burning thing inside of you that you want to know about. And I will do part 2 and tell you the answers to all those questions. In the meantime, in our show notes, we have the link for you to connect directly with Mary Beth Burns. I put her email in there. And if you truly want to begin that process of succession planning, it's important that you have somebody like her in your corner to be your advocate and the one who is going to be on top of the details to help you figure all that out. And you guys, there were a lot of pieces to this puzzle because we have 3 apprentices. I don't know if your state does apprenticeship programs, but it was like, how do we transition our apprentices over to the new owner? There's all these little nuances that we had to figure out and make sure we dealt with properly. Even the establishment license, how quickly is that going to take place? Well, we did it very, very quickly and had figured everything out online using AI to help us as well. But there's just all these little things that you really need to know and have ready and check this is dealt with. So submit your questions, and part 2 will be my helping answer all those questions that maybe I didn't get to today. But thank you for being with me, sticking it out for this very long conversation on what it's like to truly retire from salon ownership. I love you guys. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.
Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.